Hello and welcome to another episode of the Contractor Growth Show. My name is Mark. I'm your host. And today I'm really excited to be talking with Tommy Leigh over here at Gemini Waterproofing and Restoration in the Big Apple in New York. Tom, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to be here.
So you guys have got just a colorful history of the business. You guys have been at it for a long, long time.
Yes.
Yeah, waterproofing and restoration, which is the kind of technical stuff that you guys do. Looks like it's specifically maybe for New York and the kind of New York skyline. Maybe
Yes.
you could tell us, maybe you could tell us just a little bit about the history of the business and kind of what
Sure.
you guys are up to today.
Sure. Well, we started Gemini Waterproofing and Restoration in 1989. And the name waterproofing is deceptive. It lends to someone working in a basement with a trowel, applying some type of silicone. But we do scaffold work. We repair facades on the New York City skyline, premier properties. We replace roofs, and we specialize in facade maintenance and repairing dangerous conditions due to extreme weathering that facades are exposed to in the Northeast. There was an incident back in 1980 where a brick fell up at Barnard College by Columbia University, and a student was killed tragically. And the city decided to implement a new law, Local Law 10 at the time, where all buildings 6 stories and higher had to be inspected by a licensed engineer and filed with the New York City Department of Buildings as safe or unsafe. Any unsafe conditions had to be corrected. So that's the area of our expertise. It's a worthwhile business pursuit and contribution to our society.
I love it. I can tell, looking at yourself, I can tell you guys just absolutely love New York and love the skyline.
Amen. Yes, sir.
So a loyal New Yorker through and through, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I love New York. Sometimes I say it's the city. I quote Jimmy Breslin, and where he says, the city I equally love and equally hate. No, I love it. I especially when I travel, it's great to live somewhere that no matter, I could be on the beach in Hawaii and I still miss going home. When it's time to leave, no matter where I am, I'm excited because I know that I'm going back to New York City. Yeah.
Man, how cool.
Yeah.
So the local law, it looks like that's kind of unique to New York. With all the buildings and all of the facades.
Chicago does something similar, sure, but I'm sorry, continue. Forgive me.
Oh, no. Okay, so some other areas do this as well.
Yes. The Northeast, where the extreme winds and weathering will create cracks and penetrations into masonry, that the steel, structural steel, once that gets exposed to moisture, you bring on degrees of rust, and the rust expands the steel, which will crack the brick or whatever masonry stone is covering your facade, and that can create dangerous, hazardous conditions, as well as leaks into the living areas.
Okay. And I saw, it looks like every 5 years the building needs to be inspected.
Correct.
If it fails inspection, it needs to be repaired within 90 days. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And are you guys engineers, or there's engineers out there doing that work? Something gets flagged and they call you guys and say, this needs to get taken care of right away.
Yeah, how it works is that a property owner will hire an independent engineer who will do an inspection. And then he files with the New York City Department of Buildings, safe, unsafe, swarm. And from there, work that's required will then, the engineer, usually the same engineer, will create a set of plans, specifications, drawings, and that he will use that to have contractors come in and submit a bid, a price for performing the work. And then the negotiations start. Sometimes they go with the low bid. Sometimes they bring in all the bidders or just a handful of the bidders, and they'll interview them. I had one of those interviews this morning on Forest Hills, and all part of the process.
Interesting. We talk with a lot of remodelers that are just, working on houses in different places in the country. This work that you do, it seems a little bit of a kind of a curious niche. You guys really kind of found, I wouldn't call it obscure. I don't know how kind of prevalent this is, but is it, how did you get into this unique kind of service that you guys offer where you're dealing with kind of the city engineers and this kind of specific thing that you guys do really well versus just, new building and, remodeling and that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. I saw an opportunity in sales. I was at a point in my life where I wanted to do something substantial, worthwhile, and I was introduced to this idea and I saw how lucrative it was. And this was during the first Local Law 10 cycle. That's now been amended to Local Law 11, by the way. But the Local Law 10, the beginning of the Local Law 10 cycle, I had gotten involved because I heard of how lucrative it was. So, of course, I went after the money. And I where there's big money, there's big problems. But I learned a lot, and it forced me to make hard choices. And we've never looked back. We made some very strong, hard choices, and thank God we did. And that's why Gemini is 36 years old. We've been going at it because we do things the way we do it, the right way. It's the only way.
Amazing. So, you guys are up on scaffold all day. You guys got a team that's, 2, 4, 6 stories up. Of course, you guys you're bonded and insured, but then I saw you guys have also got a perfect safety record. So you've been at this for 36 years. How have you been able to maintain such a perfect, safety record all of that time with being up in the air? And
yeah, thank you. We start with personnel, our labor. We have the best. I've been blessed with incredible, talented, and conscientious professionals with integrity. And they're very loyal, they're disciplined, and they're disciplined to do things the right way. That means they stay organized, and safety is first. We have safety, we have value, and conscientious of the property and the integrity of the project that we're working on. But it starts with safety. Safety for our men, safety for the residents of the property, and of course, safety for the citizens walking by underneath the building. These are things that are all taken into consideration. You can't be too thorough, belt and suspenders. That's the philosophy. And I find in New York in general, all the contractors in general are very safety conscious, which is a blessing. There are many OSHA courses that are required. And that helps itself as well, because the first thing you learn in these classes is that your safety is addressed. It's not just looking out for a third party. It's also yourself and the rigging and how to get on and off a scaffold, how to properly rig a safety line that's you're going to be harnessed to. And these are things that you don't want to overlook. And so, but to answer your question, when you have good men and they're loyal to you, you have the longevity and you know what to expect. Our men deliver and they're consistent. And again, that's a blessing.
Can I ask, maybe kind of fluctuates, how many folks do you tend to have on your team?
Right now we have about 80 people working
wow.
at Gemini. Yeah, it's funny. We're working on a project down in the village, and it's the MTA, which is the mass transit, and here in New York City, and they're great people, but bureaucracy at its finest, and
right.
There was an unforeseen condition. We were working over a structural slab that didn't exist. So when we discovered that the structural slab did not exist over a subway station, the job came to a stop. And now new plans had to be filed and they had to be approved before we can start again. Now, if you can imagine, that has taken 15 months. I'm not exaggerating. 15 months, we restarted the job yesterday. And
wow.
Yeah, after it stopping January 6, 2024.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a very busy subway stop. And they gave us 6 weeks to finish the job, 2 days. And we've sealed the opening, which, I laughed. He had his own crew who he's already paying. And where do I get a job like that you're paying somebody who's not even working? I mean, it's our job and we're not getting paid.
Oh,
We've been
right.
shut down for 15 months. Um, I told them today, I said, your crew would still be installing their barricades. Literally, they said it was going to take them 2 days to install their protection. We finished the work. Now we laid down the structural slab. We have to allow 10 days for that to cure. And once that cures, we're just going to need a day to waterproof, allow that to cure, and then another day to pour the wearing surface, and we're finished with the project. So something that was supposed to take 6 weeks, we're literally going to finish in less than 4, allowing plus the curing time. But
Wow.
that's the way we work. It's like an orchestra. We have good men and a good organization. And the MTA, the director, he literally was laughing. Like I said, he was so happy. He was so joyous. He was laughing like he was watching Dave Chappelle. Like I kind of laughed. He was like, "I can't believe it! I can't believe it!" And he was so happy. And
Oh, man.
well, that's how Gemini performs. I said, "You give us the ball, we score touchdowns." That's yeah, amen.
That is
I'm
wild.
sorry.
Amen.
That's just something that happened today.
I
Um,
love it. I love it.
Thank
So,
you.
something that, we talk with builders all over the country, something that folks have kind of struggled with some here last few years, COVID, maybe even before COVID, is actually kind of finding, recruiting, um, great team members and then retaining them. I mean, you've got a huge team. Um, what has been a tip or a secret or two that has allowed you to go out, where other folks have really struggled with this because you've been at this for a long, long time and clearly do, you have your heart very much in this. We've seen beautiful things that you say on your site just about how you take care of these buildings and how you love New York. So you're bringing a lot of culture to it. But I mean, what's your secret of finding, recruiting, and retaining, that size of a team?
It's funny, you asked that, Mark. There's no industry secret. It's just caring. It's something that anyone can do. It's like, they say the secret to success is a list of things that anyone can do. You don't need to go to Wharton School of Business, and it's a matter of just taking the time. I make it a point every single day that I go on a job, I start with the laborer, the lesser men, and I say hello to them even before I approach my supervisors. How's it going, guys? You guys are doing a great job. Do you need anything from me? And talk to them. And I give them my card. They know my name. I know their names. And I let them know. And by God, sometimes they call me and they need something or they're in a jam. And 99% of the time, that's as far as it goes. But every so often, those are the people that are going to save you. That when you need that savior, the rabbi, you're only as strong as the weakest link.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, it's just a matter of caring and staying in touch with the men and, of course, paying them. But it's more than paying. I observe, and I remember years ago, when I was working for another firm, and I worked with one of the subs at the owner of the company's house. And later on, his wife came to one of the job sites, and he brought her over to me, okay, and introduced her to me and said, "Oh, Tommy did all the work." And I was the supervisor of the job, but the laborer who actually did the work was standing right there.
Huh.
I remember he was crushed. He was from St. Lucia, and my, I remember him saying that, why didn't he introduce me? I mean, I was in the man's house. And yeah, Mark, I always knew I would never make that mistake, but just to You include everybody, and you just, oh, it takes nothing. It really, and be sincere about it, and you walk away, spend your time doing those things, and you live a happy life, knowing that you're a part of people's lives, and especially your organization. And sometimes a man's not making the money. Oh, all of us aren't making the money that we need to be making, but a guy doesn't have to go home and say, gee, I'm struggling. And you know what? And this son of a gun walked on the job today who I break my back for, and he didn't even say hello to me. Like Robert from St. Lucia said about that one guy. Like that really hurt him.
Huh.
And, at the very least, at least he knows he works for a company that the owner, when he sees him, stops and says, hello, Mike, how are you? Hey, Roberto, are you doing okay? Hey, how's your back feeling? Are you all right? Are you still, just caring, it goes a long way.
Wow. Incredible. I knew this was going to be a great interview. I just knew it. I knew it. Man, I see a quote here. Guys, if you're listening to this interview, listen to Tommy here speak about the pride he takes in this company. I actually got almost water in my eyes talking about it. There's a quote here. It says, Gemini truly tends to the nature of your building, much like a father looking after his children. Okay.
Wow.
Imagine putting that on your website. Okay. I mean, what's the secret to hiring and like maintaining such a company of people? And the secret is to care, right? What an amazing message. I get to talk to a lot of just really colorful folks and folks doing all kinds of different businesses in the construction fields. And it just really warms my heart to hear the stories of how you care, how you take pride in this, how you wanted to help the world be a better place. And, as Title 10 came, or Law 10, back in 1980, Local Law 10, now 11 came out. These buildings need to get maintained better. Got water here in the Northeast, bricks are falling off, can't have anybody getting hurt. And then just the way you got into the business here, starting with sales and seeing the opportunity. What a cool story. And you guys have been at it for so long. It's a real pleasure to talk with you about this, Tommy. I really appreciate you being here and talking with us.
Very kind of you to say, Mark. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So Tommy, if folks are in New York and they are looking for some help with the facade of their building, if they're curious about what that looks like and they want to, they're going to talk with an engineer, they're looking for some quotes, what are a couple of good ways to get in touch with Gemini?
Well, we do have a website, www.geminiwaterproofing.com. We are located on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and we service the entire metropolitan area. And our telephone is 212-581-8500. And that's 24 hours we can be reached. It's 581-8500 in the 212 area code. And we're local, and we give small town service in the big town of New York City.
Amazing.
New York turns into small town USA very, very quickly.
Amazing. So guys, head on over to Gemini Waterproofing.com and get in touch with Tommy. I imagine you're Tommy very busy, but you may be even available just for a short chat on the phone, just to talk shop.
Absolutely. I'm always happy to help. I'm not always looking to sell a job today. I'd rather solve your problem. I'd rather develop a relationship. Eventually, when you need me, I'll be happy to be there. But my philosophy is a deal has to be a good deal today, 5 minutes from now, 5 days from now, 5 years from now. And people will figure it out that, you know what, I didn't need this deal. I didn't need to do this work now. I wish I knew what I knew now. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I was with somebody yesterday who had a door put in, and the person who installed the door knew better. And, I'm there to help him out now, but it's the person who installed the door should have pointed out features that were now lacking. And it wasn't the proper unit for there's building. And well, anyway, I'd rather help people and develop a relationship and for them to get to know me and to know that when you need a doctor, you know, if you're not sick, I'm not going to give you medicine. The same here. If your building doesn't need a project, you know, maybe it just needs a patch, you know, kiss the boo-boo, you know, it's you save a lot of money. And when you do need the work, then of course you know that you can rely on me. I've operated like that, and that's one of the benefits about being self-employed or an entrepreneur. I don't have to worry about getting fired for somebody saying, well, that's a stupid philosophy. We're in this to make a killing. And yeah, I like that I have that flexibility, that I do things a certain way. And I believe the industry knows that about me, that I can be relied on for that.
Oh man, I get that. Fantastic. Well, guys, head on over to Gemini Waterproofing or GeminiWP.com and give Tommy Leigh a ring. He'd love to hear from you. Tommy, thank you so much for taking out some valuable time of your day to day, which is wonderful talking with you. And we would love to have you on the show at some point again in the future.
It'd be my pleasure, Mark. And it was very nice to be here. And thank you. And yeah, New York's a fabulous place. I hope you get here soon.
We will. We'll try.
All right. I can't wait. All right.
All right.
Thank you,
Take care.
sir. Have a wonderful day. God bless you.
God bless you.